Hey, this is Kaylee and Jenny. We're here in Arizona, and we are talking about betrayal trauma, not having proof, feeling out of control, and all of those not so fun things.
Yeah, that feeling of I don't have any proof of what's happening. I have a feeling maybe, but I have to have proof in order to take any action or do anything. And so we want to kind of give some debunking to that betrayal trauma myth. Maybe we'll call
hmm
it that.
Yeah,
Um,
and we had this really great discussion in our class. So just a little plug, if you're interested in the topic that we talk about today and some of the tools that you get, we run a free class every week. It's more of a discussion than a class, actually. We all come together, we talk about betrayal trauma. It's private, it's safe, and it's just a really great place, a really soft place for you to come and just share and learn. So once a
Online,
week.
Zoom. Yep.
Our little contact stuff is down in the caption. So proof, back to that. So yeah, we had such good discussion today on the topic.
hmm I mean, I'm just going to scroll back through. There's so many comments about feeling like, you know, I'm scared to even bring up my feeling about something if I don't have proof. I'm scared to bring up proof if I do have proof because there's so much pushback or backlash or blame shifting or gaslighting or um, everyone's talking too about the exhaustion of
Mm-hmm.
searching and hunting and trying to find the
Mm-hmm.
proof, right? And we
Yeah.
talked
Well,
about
and
that as
there's
being one of the symptoms of PTSD, that hypervigilance, that hyper awareness of stuff.
yeah, and
Sorry,
there
you were
was
saying.
there was this talk too about how there's kind of like this obsessiveness that comes with that hypervigilance. I love that you said that. There's this obsessiveness that comes with that hypervigilance to like find information, and then almost someone even described it like an out of body experience at times, or just so it can be so intense, and then I find proof and it actually provides some relief.
Yeah, you're like in
And
like zombie
how
search mode, and then you find it, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not insane.
I
Oh my
found
gosh,
it.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm real."
Yeah, and then it's
Yes,
actually
it's very, very
traumatizing
intense,
too, right? It's totally
right?
disturbing, and yet
And
also
super
there's this feeling
confusing.
of relief.
And
So
and
confusing.
even I liked too that some of the people brought up the idea of I'm snooping, and there's a moral kind of like dilemma around that. Should I even be looking through someone else's stuff? And kind of this, how much do I look? Or maybe even being told, you don't need to look, you can't handle that information, so just cap it off here. Just a lot of different experiences that people have. And I thought, well, no wonder we feel nuts about this kind of thing. No wonder we
Right?
feel like we don't know what's up and what's down, and kind of really just validating that all of it is legit. And I do also want to say that when you've been lied to, it's normal to want to investigate. That's normal.
Right. 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 And I remember going to a therapist early on, and he said something like, a really great therapist, and he said something like, "All I feel like betrayal trauma wise, we need to like get them together, and they need to work for the FBI because man, these women like they are they are the best. Like they're great
They
at interrogating, they're great at looking for proof, like they're make perfect PIs." And part of me was like, "Don't say that," but then part of me was like, "Yeah, it's true." We are really good at
and then and then that brings to mind
that.
too. I remember someone else saying, "What if your partner gets so good at hiding that you'll never actually find it?" So that kind of brings us to the kind of place where we landed today, which was about that internal sense of knowing, or that internal lie detector, and
Yeah.
and and kind of giving permission to trust that even when there's no proof.
And that can happen in conversation, that can happen around small menial tasks around the house, or that can happen around this idea that has he been acting out or not. And sometimes we won't actually know, right? In fact, a lot of times you won't. And so it's really about tuning in, slowing down, tuning in and going, okay, what do I really feel? And I gave this example of a client I had a while back who was feeling really agitated and worried and about if her partner was acting out. And then we kind of breathed down a little bit, and immediately she went, yeah, he's acting out. And then on the flip side, I have had another client, we did the same thing, very agitated, got to a calm centered space and went, I don't think so. I actually feel like this time, even though I'm really ticked off, I really don't think that he was. And she felt really grounded in that. And I'm like, hey, let's go with that. Let's go with what your gut is telling you. And we can
Yeah.
launch out from there.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. It's like, we look at hypervigilance as maybe we're going to label it as a bad thing. But can I take that hyper feeling and can I transform or evolve it into a very grounded sense of knowing, right? A nuanced sense of understanding, which is really kind of part of that work, is giving yourself that groundedness in it, because you have more ability to know the truth than a lie detector does. And
Mm-hmm.
that's real. you know
Mm-hmm.
Everything in your body is attuned to your partner and your other human being, and you have more capability of knowing the truth than a lie detector does.
Yeah. And that
So
doesn't actually require an obsessiveness or intense, like checking eyes and all those things that we naturally do. But like you said, we're kind of like refocusing and honing that skill down. I call it the spidey senses. You can actually live your life and all of a sudden your spidey senses start tingling and you're like, whoa, something's off. Right. And that's a skill. It's a superpower that you are always going to have if you choose to transform that.
I think along with that is that understanding of kind of what you talked about earlier, is when sometimes we feel that sense and we can get grounded and be like, it's real. Or we can feel that sense and we can get grounded and be like, no, it's I'm
It's my trigger.
I'm
Yeah,
overthinking that.
for
I'm
sure.
triggering. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So lots
Yeah.
of good discussion today about that experience of not having proof, and then how do we, make a boundary around that. And something that Kaylee and I had talked about as well, kind of after class, was the idea that you don't need to have proof to set a boundary, and nor do you need to actually say what the
Mm-hmm.
boundary is to your partner. You can feel it and kind of outline it for yourself, and then just move forward with it. You don't need permission. You don't need to have it written down, to have it understood, to have it checked off, whatever it might be. Your sense of knowing is your most important tool in this process of healing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that idea that um, I can look inward and I can speak it if I want to. And I feel like the consequences of that are going to potentially launch me forward in my relationship, to be clear, or to go, there's all these micro boundaries that are happening at all times. And really it boils down to, is it okay or is it not okay? Right? This is okay with me or it's not okay with me. This feels good to me. This doesn't feel good to me. And then making choices based on that. And some of that you're already doing. A lot of that you're already doing. And maybe pathologizing, maybe telling yourself that it's wrong when you're taking a step back, when you're disconnecting. And so, yeah, looking at that and allowing for, I don't need to speak this if the consequence of that is going to, I can sense is not going to go well.
It's going to
And I
escalate
can
or something's
speak
going to
that,
happen.
yeah, yeah, or I can speak that if I feel like it's a
My
potential, I'm
partner is
planting a seed.
willing. My partner is invested.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
So
thanks a
many
lot,
good things to
guys.
discuss
Yeah.
today. Yeah. So join our class, join our discussion. It's every week. Go ahead and enter your email down below at the link, and we will send you the private Zoom link with the password.
Yep. Thanks, guys. We'll see ya.